On my planet, sharing a bed is normal, said my alien roommate. Ethan Carter stepped out of the interstellar shuttle, his boots crunching lightly on the gray sand of Zarathis. The air smelled faintly of sweet minerals and something metallic, like a mixture of iron and honey. Around him, students of all shapes and colors hustled through the massive campus of the Galactic University, a sprawling city of towers that seemed to float above the ground. Ethan had dreamed of this moment for years, ever since he first read about alien worlds and advanced civilizations. Yet, standing here, everything felt bigger, brighter, and stranger than he had imagined. His shuttle ride had been long and exhausting, but excitement kept him awake. Humans were rare in interstellar exchange programs, and being the first from Earth to study here carried both pride and pressure. He adjusted the straps of his backpack and glanced at the campus map displayed on his wrist device. His dormitory was in the Solis wing, a cluster of residential pods built into a hovering platform. A gentle hum resonated through the ground beneath his feet, evidence of the anti-gravity fields keeping the massive structures afloat. As he walked, Ethan felt dozens of eyes on him. Some stared curiously, their skin glowing faintly, or their limbs bending in ways that seemed impossible. A few creatures, he noted, had multiple eyes or mouths, while others shimmered like translucent glass. He reminded himself to stay calm and polite. First impressions mattered, especially in a place where humans were rare and observed closely. Ethan finally arrived at his assigned pod, a sleek chamber with walls that changed color based on the mood of its occupant. The door slid open with a soft hiss, revealing his new living space. It was much smaller than he had expected, furnished with a strange mattress that floated above the floor and a few pieces of furniture that looked more like sculptures than functional objects. A soft light hovered in the corner, casting gentle shadows across the walls. And there, sitting cross-legged on the floating bed, was his roommate. Ethan froze. The alien was about his height but had elongated limbs that bent gracefully at odd angles. Its skin shimmered in shades of blue and green like oil on water, and its large eyes reflected the room's light like mirrors. The alien looked at Ethan with what seemed like curiosity and amusement. "Hello," Ethan said cautiously, unsure of what to do with his hands. "Greetings, Earthling," the alien replied in perfect English, though the accent was melodious and unlike anything Ethan had heard. "I am Lurak, your roommate. I see you have arrived safely." Ethan nodded. "Yes, I'm Ethan. Nice to meet you." Lurak smiled, a slow curling of what Ethan assumed was its mouth. "On my planet, sharing a bed is normal," Lurak said casually. "We do not have the same notions of personal space as humans. You will sleep here with me, of course. Do not worry, it is not uncomfortable." Ethan blinked. "Sharing a bed?" His voice trembled slightly, though he tried to sound calm. "I mean, I'm not used to that." Lurak tilted its head. "Ah, cultural difference, I understand, but here it is practical. Beds are limited, and we find comfort in proximity." "You may find it pleasant once you adapt." Ethan swallowed. He had imagined alien roommates being strange, even challenging, but he had not expected this. Still, he had come here to learn and to grow. He squared his shoulders. "Okay, I'll try." Lurak's eyes glowed faintly. "Excellent, you will learn quickly. Humans are curious creatures, that is good." Ethan hesitated before stepping onto the floating mattress. It shifted slightly under his weight, but did not collapse. The sensation was unusual, like stepping onto a soft, hovering cloud. Lurak made room beside him, and Ethan awkwardly sat down, keeping his distance at first. "I don't want to be rude," Ethan said. "But how does this work? Do we sleep at the same time?" Lurak's eyes twinkled. "Yes, we synchronize our rest cycles. This allows energy conservation and mutual comfort. Do not be afraid. You will get used to it." Ethan lay down carefully, staring at the ceiling, which displayed a projection of the twin suns of Zarathis. He tried to relax, but his mind raced with questions. What if he did something wrong? What if Lurak thought he was impolite? What if he could not sleep? After a few moments of awkward silence, Lurak spoke again. "You are nervous, I understand. Humans are cautious, but it is acceptable. You will learn. All newcomers do." Ethan let out a small laugh. "I guess I am nervous." "You are brave nonetheless," Lurak said. "It is rare for a species to come to our planet with so little knowledge and adapt so quickly. Humans have interesting qualities." Ethan felt a flicker of pride. He had spent years studying alien cultures, languages, and technology, but being praised by an actual alien still made him feel special. "Thanks," he said quietly. I'm trying my best. Lurek extended a long, delicate limb toward Ethan and gently tapped his shoulder. That is all we ask. Curiosity, courage, and respect. You possess all three, you will do well here. For the first time, Ethan allowed himself to relax. The floating mattress adjusted beneath them, gently tilting so they could both lie comfortably. He stared at Lurak's shimmering skin and realized it was mesmerizing, almost like watching a living aurora. Despite the strangeness, he felt no fear, only a sense of wonder. Over the next few hours, Ethan explored the pod. The walls were interactive, capable of displaying information or creating objects on command. A small kitchen unit floated beside the bed, offering nutritious meals that adjusted to the user's preferences. Ethan marveled at everything, realizing that life on Zarathis was far more advanced than he had imagined. By evening, the dorm corridor was quiet, with most students already resting or studying. Ethan lay on the mattress next to Lurak, who was observing him with curiosity. "Are you comfortable?" Lurak asked. "I think so," Ethan replied. "It's different but not bad." "That is good," Lurak said. "You will learn that differences are not threats, they are opportunities." Ethan nodded, feeling a warmth in his chest that had nothing to do with the floating mattress. He realized that even in a place full of aliens and strange customs, friendship and trust were universal. As he drifted toward sleep, he heard Lurak's soft voice, almost a whisper. "Do not worry, Earthling. You are not alone here. We will face this world together." Ethan smiled faintly and closed his eyes. For the first time in a long journey, he felt at home. The twin suns of Zarathis projected across the ceiling seemed to pulse in rhythm with his heartbeat, and the hum of the anti-gravity fields became a gentle lullaby. Sharing a bed might have seemed strange at first, but Ethan realized that comfort came in many forms, and sometimes it came from the unexpected. In the deep silence of the dorm, Ethan and Lurak slept, two beings from entirely different worlds learning to coexist. And in that moment, the boundaries between human and alien felt less significant than the bond they were beginning to form. Morning light filtered through the translucent walls, painting the room in shades of pink and gold. Ethan woke slowly, stretching his limbs and blinking at the shimmering skin of his roommate. Lurak smiled at him, a gesture Ethan had already come to understand as friendly and reassuring. "Good morning," Lurak said, voice soft and melodic. "Sleep well?" "Yes," Ethan replied. "Better than I expected." "That is good," Lurak said. "Today will be interesting. You will see more of our world and perhaps learn even more about yourself." Ethan felt a surge of excitement. He had survived the first night, faced a challenge he had never imagined, and even found a friend in a being utterly unlike himself. This was only the beginning. The universe was vast, strange, and full of surprises, but for the first time he felt ready to meet them. With a final glance at Lurak, Ethan prepared to step into a world that was entirely new, certain that he could adapt, learn, and perhaps leave a mark of humanity on a planet far from home. Ethan woke to the soft hum of the dorm's anti-gravity field. The walls glowed gently with a golden light, reflecting the warmth of Zarathis' twin suns outside. He stretched carefully on the floating mattress, noting how comfortable it had become overnight. Lurak was already awake, sitting cross-legged on the bed beside him, its shimmering skin reflecting the morning light. "Good morning, Ethan," Lurak said. "Ready to begin your first day?" Ethan rubbed his eyes and yawned. "I think so, I just hope I can keep up." "Everything is so different here." Lurak tilted its head, observing him. "You humans are curious and fast learners. That will serve you well. You must remember we do not see differences as obstacles. They are opportunities to grow." Ethan nodded slowly, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness. He dressed in the uniform the university had provided, a sleek tunic that adjusted to his size, and followed Lurak into the dorm corridor. The hall was filled with students of all species, moving in ways that made Ethan's head spin. Some glided effortlessly above the floor, others crawled on multiple limbs, while a few floated using small, personal anti-gravity devices. "Be ready for curiosity," Lurak warned. "Many will come to see you. You are one of the few humans here. You may find attention overwhelming." Ethan swallowed but nodded. He was used to being observed as a human, but never on this scale. Already a group of small, insect-like students hovered near him, their multifaceted eyes blinking rapidly. "Hello, Earthling," one said in a voice that sounded like chimes. "I am Vec from Clyra. Your species is interesting." Ethan smiled politely. "Hi, I'm Ethan." I'm still learning about everything. Vec buzzed happily. We will help you. You are new, and new things are always fun. Lurak guided Ethan through the hallways, explaining the layout of the campus and the customs of different species. They passed a group of luminescent beings practicing floating martial arts in perfect synchronization. They value discipline and harmony, Lurak explained. Notice how they move as one, yet each is unique. Ethan tried to imitate a simple step, and the aliens watching giggled. It wasn't mockery, but amusement. He laughed, feeling slightly embarrassed, but the laughter warmed the moment. Even among beings so different, joy seemed universal. After a short walk, they arrived at the main dining area, a massive hall filled with floating tables and holographic menus. Ethan's stomach growled. He had been so busy observing everything that he hadn't realized how hungry he was. Do not worry about alien foods, Lurak said. Some may taste strange to you. Start with milder options. Ethan selected a translucent dish of nutrient-rich cubes. When he tasted it, he was surprised to find it bland yet satisfying. Not bad, he said, earning a small shimmer of approval from Lurak. While eating, Ethan noticed other students whispering and pointing. A tall, reptilian creature with scales that changed color seemed particularly curious. Ethan waved politely, and the alien waved back. It felt strange to be both stared at and welcomed at the same time. After breakfast, Lurak guided Ethan to his first class, a study of interstellar biology. The lecture hall was enormous, filled with floating desks and holographic displays. Ethan marveled at the technology as the professor, a multi-limbed being with bright green skin, demonstrated the anatomy of a creature from a distant system. Ethan took careful notes, comparing what he knew from Earth to what he saw on Zarathis. While the aliens discussed adaptations and energy cycles, Ethan noticed that human understanding of biology, though simple, often gave him a unique perspective. He asked a question about how a certain organ could function in zero gravity, and the professor's eyes widened slightly. Interesting, the professor said. Few humans consider zero gravity adaptation. You may contribute unique insights. Ethan felt a surge of pride. Even in a world filled with advanced beings, his perspective as a human had value. Lurak nudged him gently with an arm. See, you are already making a mark. After class, Ethan and Lurak returned to the dorm. Ethan was exhausted but exhilarated. He wanted to rest, but Lurak had other plans. Come, Lurak said. I will show you more of the campus. There is a festival today celebrating interspecies cooperation. It is a perfect way for you to observe customs and meet others. Ethan followed, adjusting to the increasing stimulation. The festival grounds were massive, filled with floating lanterns, holographic displays, and games that defied gravity. Students ran races while floating, danced in synchronized patterns above the ground, and played musical instruments that produced colors instead of sounds. Ethan's eyes widened with amazement. Lurak guided him through the crowd. Do not be shy. Interaction is key to understanding. Others will approach you naturally, especially curious beings like yourself. Sure enough, within minutes, several students approached Ethan. Some asked about Earth, some wanted to compare species abilities, and one even invited him to try a zero-gravity obstacle course. Ethan laughed nervously but agreed, curious to see what he could do. The obstacle course was challenging. Ethan stumbled at first, tripping in ways that would be impossible on Earth, but he adapted quickly, using problem-solving and observation. Soon, he was navigating the course with a mix of balance and timing that impressed the alien spectators. They clapped and shimmered in appreciation. Lurak beamed with pride. You see, your human abilities, curiosity, creativity, quick learning, stand out even in ways we do not expect. You have more potential than you realize. By evening, Ethan was sweaty and exhausted but happy. He had tried alien games, met dozens of students, and even impressed a few with his human ingenuity. The festival began winding down, lanterns floating into the sky, painting streaks of color across the evening. As they returned to the dorm, Ethan reflected on his day. At first, the thought of sharing a bed with Lurak had felt uncomfortable and strange. Now, after facing challenges, meeting countless aliens, and seeing how different customs worked, he realized that discomfort came from unfamiliarity, not from the act itself. Lurak noticed his thoughtful expression. You are learning quickly, Ethan. Humans often resist change, but you embrace it. That is admirable, Ethan smiled. I guess I don't have much choice. Everything here is so different, but I want to understand. I want to fit in at least a little. You already are, Lurak said. You may be small in number, but humans are remarkable in ways most beings cannot predict. Remember this, you are not insignificant. They entered the dorm, and Ethan prepared for sleep. The floating mattress shifted slightly as he lay down, accommodating his weight. Lurak settled beside him, the shimmer of its skin reflecting the soft dorm light. Tell me, Lurak, Ethan asked, curiosity rising again, how do you sleep? Do you think differently than humans? Lurak's eyes glowed faintly. Sleep is different for each species. We do not require as much rest as humans, but we value shared cycles. It strengthens bonds, allows energy transfer, and provides comfort. You may find that sleeping close is more relaxing than you expect. Ethan nodded, staring at the twin suns projected across the ceiling. The first day had been overwhelming, but exciting. He felt the bond with Lurak growing stronger, realizing that trust and friendship could cross the vast differences between species. As he drifted toward sleep, Ethan thought about how alien and human societies could learn from each other. Humans had creativity, empathy, and adaptability, qualities that seemed rare in some alien species, despite their advanced technology. He realized that being human was not a disadvantage. It was a strength, sometimes in ways even aliens could not fully understand. Through the hum of the anti-gravity fields and the soft glow of the dorm lights, Ethan felt a quiet sense of belonging. Tomorrow would bring more lessons, more challenges, and more discoveries. Yet he felt ready, armed with curiosity, courage, and the budding friendship of a remarkable alien named Lurak. The night deepened, the dorm quieted, and two very different beings slept side by side. Ethan dreamed of floating cities, alien creatures, and strange landscapes. But more than that, he dreamed of friendship, understanding, and the limitless possibilities that awaited a human on a distant planet. Ethan awoke to the soft glow of Zaratha's twin suns spilling into the dorm. Today was special. The citywide festival celebrating interspecies cooperation would reach its peak. He had spent the past 2 days adjusting to alien life, learning customs, and beginning to understand the strange but fascinating rhythms of the planet. Yet today felt different. There was an excitement in the air, a tangible energy that made every being move with purpose. Lurak was already awake, stretching its long limbs gracefully across the floating mattress. Today you will see the best of Zaratha's, it said. And perhaps you will discover something unique about yourself. Ethan nodded, feeling a mixture of excitement and nerves. Over the last day and a half, he had learned that humans were observed with curiosity wherever they went. But Lurak's words gave him confidence. He had ingenuity and courage, qualities that had already begun to make an impression. After a quick breakfast of nutrient cubes and a sweet, gelatinous drink, Ethan and Lurak floated down to the festival grounds. The streets were alive with color and sound. Alien musicians played instruments that sent streams of light into the sky instead of sound waves. Acrobats performed impossible flips and rotations in zero-gravity zones, and food stalls offered dishes that shimmered like liquid jewels. Ethan marveled at it all, feeling a thrill at being part of this world. Remember, Lurak said, the festival is not just for entertainment. It is a chance to observe, to learn, and to contribute. Humans may find ways to help that others cannot. Ethan nodded. He had noticed that while aliens were advanced, they often relied on strict systems and predictable procedures. Humans, however, had a natural talent for improvisation, for thinking outside rigid structures. Perhaps today would be the moment to show that. As they walked, a commotion caught Ethan's attention. A young alien child, no taller than Ethan's waist, was trapped atop a levitating ride that spun above the festival crowd. The ride had malfunctioned, and the child clung desperately to a glowing rail, eyes wide with fear. Parents and bystanders panicked, unsure how to help without endangering themselves. Stay calm, Lurak said, its voice steady. We must act carefully. Do you wish to try? Ethan's heart pounded. He had never rescued anyone in his life, let alone in zero gravity among dozens of strange creatures. But instinct took over. Yes, he said, determination rising. Lurak extended a limb and guided Ethan to the base of the ride. He studied the structure quickly. The ride's anti-gravity field could be stabilized if he redirected energy using nearby control panels. He spotted a loose cable and a nearby floating platform. Using quick thinking and careful timing, he maneuvered the platform beneath the child and attached the cable to stabilize the ride's sway. The child's eyes widened. "Thank you," it cried. With a final adjustment, Ethan guided the child safely onto the platform and then back to the ground. The crowd erupted in cheers, astonished at the human's ingenuity. Lurak's eyes glimmered with pride. See, humans have a way of thinking that can surprise even the most experienced beings. You acted with logic, courage, and creativity. That is admirable. Ethan felt a rush of pride and relief. The fear and adrenaline melted into satisfaction. He realized that human strength wasn't just in physical ability or technology. It was in adaptability, quick thinking, and the willingness to act. After the rescue, Ethan and Lurak continued through the festival. Word of Ethan's actions spread quickly. Aliens approached him with smiles and curious questions, some offering assistance or gifts in appreciation. Ethan felt a sense of belonging growing stronger. They passed a section of the festival where beings from multiple planets collaborated to build complex structures in zero gravity. The challenge required teamwork, precision, and innovation. Lurak encouraged Ethan to participate. "Humans think differently," Lurak explained. "You may find solutions that others do not." Ethan studied the partially built structure. The aliens were struggling to balance energy fields to hold components in place. He suggested a different arrangement, using the forces of gravity and momentum in a way that humans had learned through simple physics on Earth. Skeptical at first, the aliens tried his idea. To their amazement, the structure stabilized immediately and held perfectly. Cheers and glowing lights erupted as the building was completed. Ethan's heart swelled. He had contributed something meaningful, something beyond observation or mimicry. He realized that even on a planet filled with advanced species, humans could shine. His curiosity, creativity, and courage made him valuable. Later, Lurak guided him to a quiet area of the festival where students could rest and share experiences. Ethan listened as aliens discussed their worlds, technologies, and customs. Despite the differences, he noticed that emotions, curiosity, and kindness were universal. He shared stories of Earth, oceans, forests, mountains, and the aliens listened with fascination. Humans had a perspective that was simple yet profound, and they appreciated the novelty and ingenuity in his explanations. Ethan also observed that some aliens underestimated humans initially, assuming that physical differences meant inferiority. But as he acted with intelligence and creativity, he noticed their respect growing. Even those who had doubted him began to seek his advice or involve him in problem-solving. It was a humbling but empowering realization. As the day wore on, the festival shifted to more interactive challenges. One activity involved navigating a complex maze suspended in midair, requiring careful timing, observation, and teamwork. Lurak paired Ethan with a group of alien students, some skeptical, some curious. At first, coordination was difficult. The aliens were accustomed to rigid planning, while Ethan relied on observation and improvisation. He suggested small adjustments, timing jumps, shifting weight, and using energy pulses to stabilize platforms. Slowly, the team began to move fluidly through the maze, completing sections that had stumped them for hours. When they finally reached the exit, the aliens cheered and shimmered brightly in excitement. "You see," Lurak said quietly, "humans may seem fragile or limited at first glance, but your ingenuity and adaptability allow you to overcome obstacles in ways others cannot anticipate." Ethan smiled, feeling proud. For the first time, he realized that being human on an alien planet was not a weakness. It was an advantage. His ability to think differently, to improvise, and to act decisively had earned him respect and friendships. The festival ended with a spectacular display of light and sound. Holographic beams crisscrossed the sky, musical tones turned into glowing ribbons, and the twin suns cast long shadows across the city. Ethan stood beside Lurak, taking it all in. "I never imagined anything like this," he said. "It's amazing, and I feel like I'm really part of it, not just a visitor." "You are," Lurak said. "You have already contributed, you have helped others, shared knowledge, and shown courage. That is what matters here. Differences are celebrated, and humans are remarkable." Ethan felt warmth spread through him. He realized that in this strange world he could be himself, curious, brave, and inventive, and still belong. Even simple acts like observing carefully, suggesting solutions, or helping others had value. It was a lesson he would carry for the rest of his life. As they returned to the dorm, Ethan reflected on the day's events. The rescue, the maze, and the festival challenges had tested him in ways he had never expected. Yet he had succeeded, not through strength, but through ingenuity, observation, and courage. Humans had a way of approaching problems differently, and it made a real difference. Lurek guided him back to the floating mattress. "You have grown today," it said. "Not just in skill, but in understanding. Humans have a strength that cannot always be measured by power or technology. It lies in courage, creativity, and empathy." Ethan smiled, lying down beside his alien roommate. "Thanks, Lurek. I think I'm starting to understand what makes humans humans, and maybe I'm starting to see what makes aliens amazing too." "You are learning quickly," Lurek said softly. "That is why humans can be valued in our world. You adapt, you learn, you act. That is rare." Ethan closed his eyes, feeling exhausted but fulfilled. Today had been overwhelming, full of new experiences, challenges, and surprises. Yet through it all, he had discovered something important, not just about aliens, but about himself. Humans had a place in the galaxy, even among beings far more advanced. Their courage, ingenuity, and empathy made them remarkable, and he was beginning to see that others could recognize it too. As sleep claimed him, he dreamed not of fear or strangeness, but of possibility. He imagined floating cities, shimmering alien skies, and the countless adventures that awaited him. And at the center of those dreams was a feeling of belonging, of friendship, and of the unique potential of being human in a universe full of wonders. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, more lessons, and more opportunities to prove that humans could rise to meet the extraordinary. But tonight, Ethan rested, proud, hopeful, and ready to embrace whatever came next. Ethan awoke to the faint hum of the anti-gravity field, feeling unusually restless. The excitement of the festival had left him buzzing with energy, but today promised something different. Lurek had mentioned that a major challenge awaited, one that would test not just skill, but teamwork, ingenuity, and courage. Ethan had no idea what to expect, but he felt ready. He had grown confident in his abilities, and his human curiosity now pushed him to seek out solutions in unfamiliar situations. After a quick breakfast, Lurek guided him to the university's central laboratory. The building was massive, filled with floating platforms, holographic displays, and rooms that seemed to defy normal geometry. Students from multiple species crowded the halls, chattering excitedly, preparing for the day's tests. Some carried advanced tools, others adjusted their bodies to optimize their performance in zero-gravity or high-pressure environments. "This will be a challenge," Lurek said as they entered the main chamber. "A problem has arisen in the dormitory systems. The gravity regulators are malfunctioning, and unless they are stabilized, the dorms could collapse. You may choose to assist or observe. Your choice, Earthling." Ethan felt a rush of adrenaline. The dorms were his home now, a place where he had begun to find comfort and friendship. He could not just stand by. "I want to help," he said firmly. "Good," Lurek replied. "Then observe carefully. Humans often see patterns others miss." They entered the central control room, where a group of aliens was gathered around a complex array of panels and floating holograms. Energy pulses flickered irregularly, showing that the gravity fields in the dormitory pods were unstable. Several students were attempting to synchronize the field, but their methods relied on precise formulas and complex calculations, which were failing in real time. Panic flickered across some of their faces. Ethan studied the situation. The systems were advanced, more sophisticated than anything on Earth, yet he noticed something the others did not. The panels showed small feedback loops, tiny adjustments that could stabilize the larger field if manipulated correctly. He recognized the pattern from a similar system on Earth, used in high-rise buildings to counteract wind and motion. "Wait," he said, stepping forward. "I think I see a simpler approach. Instead of adjusting the entire field at once, we can focus on stabilizing the critical nodes first. That will give the system time to correct itself." The aliens looked at him skeptically. Humans rarely intervened in high-level technology here, and it was unusual for one to offer a solution. Lurek's eyes glimmered with approval. "Try, Ethan. We will follow your guidance." Ethan moved quickly, directing some aliens to focus on the key nodes while others maintained peripheral support. He adjusted controls, rerouted energy pulses, and timed the feedback cycles. Sweat ran down his forehead, but he focused on patterns and cause-effect relationships. Slowly, the flashing alerts began to subside. The gravity field stabilized, first slightly, then completely. The dormitory pods leveled out, floating steadily above the ground. The room erupted in cheers. Aliens clapped with multiple limbs, shimmered their skin in vibrant colors, and expressed astonishment. "Remarkable," one exclaimed. "I have never seen a human think this way." Ethan felt a surge of pride but remained focused. "We need to monitor for a few more cycles," he said. "The system is stable, but fluctuations may occur. Keep your sensors active." Lurak nudged him gently. "Humans often act calmly under pressure. That is why you succeed where others struggle. Your mind sees possibilities, not just obstacles." Ethan smiled faintly, realizing how far he had come. Just days ago, the idea of sharing a bed with Lurak or navigating alien customs had seemed daunting. Now, he had saved the dorms from a potential disaster. His human perspective, combining observation, improvisation, and courage, had made a difference. After the immediate crisis, Lurak led Ethan to a quieter area of the campus to rest. Ethan's mind was still buzzing with calculations and patterns, but he also felt a sense of satisfaction. He was beginning to understand that being human on Zarathis was not about strength or size. It was about thinking differently, adapting quickly, and acting decisively. These qualities were rare and valuable, even in a world of advanced beings. As they walked, they encountered other students congratulating Ethan. Some offered gifts, small floating crystals that glowed with internal light, or mechanical trinkets that demonstrated alien engineering. Others simply smiled and shimmered their skin in colors of approval. Ethan realized that respect here was earned not through dominance, but through contribution and ingenuity. Later, Lurak suggested they visit the research labs, where alien students were conducting experiments in zero-gravity physics. Ethan was fascinated. The experiments were complex, yet he noticed patterns that reminded him of human physics principles. He asked questions, offered suggestions, and even corrected minor miscalculations, earning nods of approval from the instructors. "You are learning fast," Lurak said, observing him, "and you are teaching as well. Humans often bring fresh ideas even unintentionally. That is a rare gift." Ethan felt a warm pride. He realized that his unique perspective was not just useful, it was celebrated. Humans had creativity, adaptability, and curiosity in ways that could complement alien expertise. Even differences that had seemed obstacles, like limited strength or unfamiliar physiology, could be overcome with ingenuity. As the day progressed, a smaller emergency arose. A malfunction in the campus energy field caused a section of floating walkways to wobble dangerously. A group of students was stranded midair, unable to return to safety. Panic began to spread. Ethan instinctively assessed the situation. He remembered the patterns from the dormitory incident and noticed that the energy fluctuations could be temporarily stabilized using a sequence of minor adjustments. "Follow my lead," he said, directing Lurak and a few nearby students. Carefully, he manipulated the controls, calming the wobbling platforms. The stranded students slowly made their way back to stable ground. Once again, the aliens were amazed at his calmness, observation, and quick problem-solving. "You are extraordinary, Earthling," one of the alien students said, her translucent skin glowing brighter. "You think differently, act decisively, and remain calm under pressure. Humans are impressive." Ethan felt a mix of pride and humility. He had never considered himself extraordinary, but in this world, his human qualities, courage, creativity, empathy, had made a real difference. He realized that humanity's strength was not always obvious, but it was there, shining in moments of need. By evening, Ethan and Lurak returned to the dorm. Ethan was tired but exhilarated. The events of the day had tested him in ways he had never imagined. He had faced crises, helped others, and contributed in ways no one had expected from a human. And through it all, he had learned to trust his instincts and to believe in the unique abilities of his species. Lurak settled beside him on the floating mattress. "You have done well today," it said. "You have proven that humans are not just adaptable, but remarkable." Courage, creativity, and empathy are qualities that cannot be measured in technology or strength, yet they are what make you special. Ethan smiled, leaning back. "Thanks, Lurak. I think I understand now. Being human isn't a weakness here. It's a kind of strength that even advanced beings respect when it shows itself. Exactly, Lurak said, its eyes glowing softly. And you have shown it well. Remember this feeling. Humans may be few in number, but your qualities are rare and valuable. Ethan closed his eyes, feeling exhausted but satisfied. Today had been more than just a series of challenges. It had been a lesson in courage, problem-solving, and the power of perspective. Humans might not have had the physical advantages or advanced technology of other species, but their ingenuity, empathy, and adaptability made them formidable in unexpected ways. As he drifted into sleep, he thought about the future. There would be more challenges, more lessons, and more opportunities to prove what humans could do. He dreamed of floating cities, shimmering lights, and alien landscapes filled with possibilities. But more than anything, he dreamed of continuing to learn, to grow, and to show that humans, even far from Earth, could shine in ways that others might not anticipate. And beside him, Lurak slept as well, its shimmering skin reflecting the soft dorm light. Two beings from entirely different worlds rested together, bonded not by similarity, but by trust, cooperation, and the mutual recognition of each other's worth. Ethan realized that the universe was vast and full of wonders. And for the first time, he felt truly confident that humans had a place among the stars, not just as visitors, but as beings capable of making a real difference. Ethan awoke to the gentle glow of the twin suns, the dorm floating silently above the city of Zarathis. Today felt different from all the previous days. There was a quiet excitement in the air, as though the planet itself sensed something important was about to happen. Lurak, already awake, shimmered gently beside him, its long limbs stretching with a grace Ethan had come to admire. "Today, you will share your perspective with many," Lurak said. "The Council of Students has requested your insight for a citywide initiative. This is a rare honor, even for seasoned aliens. They are curious to see what humans can contribute." Ethan felt a mixture of pride and nervousness. Public speaking had never been his strength, yet he knew this was an opportunity to show that humans could make a difference, not through strength, but through ingenuity, empathy, and problem-solving. "I'll do my best," he said. "Your best is enough," Lurak replied. "Humans have qualities that are valued here, even if they are subtle. Today, others will see them too." They arrived at the council hall, a massive chamber filled with students and instructors from dozens of species. The room was circular, with platforms floating in concentric rings, allowing everyone to see the speaker. Ethan felt the eyes of hundreds upon him, and his stomach tightened. But he took a deep breath and remembered the lessons of the past days: observation, patience, courage, and creativity. The council leader, a tall alien with translucent skin and multiple glowing eyes, approached. "Ethan of Earth," the leader said, voice melodic yet commanding. "We have observed your actions during the festival and the recent dormitory incidents. Your contributions have been remarkable. We invite you to share your perspective on improving cooperation among species on Zarathis." Ethan nodded, swallowing his nerves. "Thank you. I will do my best." He spoke slowly at first, explaining how humans approach problems by observing patterns, improvising when needed, and finding solutions without relying solely on technology or authority. He told stories from the festival, the rescue of the child, the maze challenge, and the stabilization of the dormitory gravity fields. Each example highlighted human ingenuity, empathy, and courage. The audience listened in rapt attention. Aliens who had once been skeptical now shimmered with interest. They asked questions, some complex, some simple, and Ethan answered as clearly as he could. He spoke not with pride, but with honesty and curiosity, showing that humans valued cooperation, empathy, and creative thinking as much as skill and knowledge. When he finished, there was a moment of silence, then applause unlike anything Ethan had experienced. Limbs clapped, skin shimmered in dazzling patterns, and lights floated in celebration. Ethan realized that he had earned respect, not by force, not by proving superiority, but by showing that humans had unique strengths that complemented the abilities of other species. Lurak nudged him gently. "You see, humans do not need to match the power or technology of others to be valued. Your mind, your heart, and your creativity are enough to earn trust and admiration." Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth he had never felt before. He had come to Zarathis as a visitor, unsure of how he would fit in. Now he was recognized as a contributor, someone whose perspective mattered. It was a validation not just of his abilities, but of humanity itself. After the council meeting, the students returned to the festival grounds for a final celebration. Lanterns floated into the sky, streams of light painting the horizon, while music that combined sound and color filled the air. Ethan joined in the games and activities, feeling lighter and freer than ever before. He participated in a floating race with Lurak, navigating twists and turns in zero gravity. His human instincts and quick thinking allowed him to anticipate changes in the course, earning him cheers from the alien spectators. He realized that humans, though physically weaker in some ways, could succeed through observation, timing, and ingenuity. Later, a group of students asked Ethan to demonstrate how humans solve problems creatively. Using simple tools and clever tricks, he showed ways to balance floating objects, stabilize unstable platforms, and coordinate movements in zero gravity. The aliens watched, fascinated, asking questions and practicing the techniques themselves. Ethan realized that humans had something valuable that could influence even highly advanced civilizations: perspective. As the sun began to set over Zarathis, Ethan and Lurak found a quiet spot on a high platform overlooking the city. The twin suns cast long shadows, painting the landscape in shades of pink and gold. Ethan leaned against the railing, reflecting on everything that had happened. "I never imagined I'd feel so accepted," he said quietly. "I thought being human here would be a disadvantage, but it's not. It feels like strength." Lurak shimmered softly. "It is strength, not measured by power or size, but by courage, empathy, and creativity. You have shown these qualities repeatedly. That is why you are valued. That is why humans are remarkable." Ethan felt a sense of pride mixed with humility. He thought about the children he had rescued, the students he had guided, and the council who had listened to his words. Each moment had been a test of ingenuity, adaptability, and courage. He realized that humans were rare, yes, but their rarity made their qualities shine brighter in a universe full of advanced beings. As night fell, the festival lights illuminated the city like a sea of stars. Ethan felt a deep connection, not just to Lurak, but to this world, to its people, and to the possibilities that lay ahead. He understood now that being human was not about competing with others on their terms, but about contributing what humans uniquely could: insight, creativity, courage, and empathy. Lurak turned toward him, eyes glowing softly. "Tomorrow will bring new lessons, new challenges, and new adventures. But tonight, rest. You have done well. You have proven what humans can achieve when they trust themselves and act with courage." Ethan smiled, feeling the floating mattress shift gently as he lay down beside his roommate. "Thanks, Lurak, for everything. I feel like I've found a home here, even far from Earth." "You have," Lurak said, "and you will continue to grow. Together, we will explore, learn, and face whatever the universe holds." Ethan closed his eyes, feeling a calm satisfaction. The challenges of the past days had been many, but they had taught him the true value of human qualities. Curiosity had led him to explore, courage had allowed him to act, and empathy had guided his decisions. Together, these traits had not only earned him respect, but had helped others and forged strong friendships. In the quiet of the dorm, he reflected on the journey that had begun with simple uncertainty: sharing a bed with an alien roommate, navigating strange customs, and stepping into a world utterly different from his own. What had seemed like fear and discomfort had transformed into growth, understanding, and connection. He realized that humans could thrive anywhere in the universe, not because of dominance or power, but because of their adaptability, creativity, and heart. As sleep overtook him, Ethan dreamed of future adventures. He imagined traveling across the galaxy, solving problems, helping others, and learning from countless worlds. He dreamed of floating cities, shimmering skies, and strange landscapes, always with Lurak and other friends by his side. But more than anything, he dreamed of continuing to prove that humanity's unique qualities, courage, creativity, and empathy, could shine anywhere, even in the vast, complex universe of alien civilizations. Morning would come with new lessons, new challenges, and new opportunities. But tonight, Ethan rested with a sense of fulfillment and pride. Humans were special, not in ways of power or technology, but in the ability to see, think, and act in ways that others could not. That was their gift. That was their strength. And beside him, Lurak shimmered, a quiet reminder that friendship, trust, and cooperation could bridge even the greatest differences. Two beings from entirely different worlds slept together, bonded not by similarity, but by understanding, respect, and shared experiences. Ethan smiled in his sleep, knowing that the universe was vast, full of wonders, and ready to be explored. And humans, small, curious, and brave, had a place among the stars.